At first, it was only a shape. Far off, on the horizon, a hard outline through dust and heat. Then the details emerged. A long gun, a square, thick hull, a silhouette unlike the lighter German tanks Allied crews already knew. And then one word moved across the radio. Tiger. Not shouted, not explained, just said, Tiger. Inside a Sherman or a Churchill, men understood what that word meant before they had proof. A gun that could reach farther, armor that could take hits their own tanks could not. A machine that had already begun to grow larger in rumor than in steel. What happened next was real. So was the fear. But what those crews did not say out loud, at least not at first, was that the Tiger's greatest weapon was not only its gun, it was the effect it had on the mind. The British were the first Western Allied tankers to meet the Tiger in battle. Tunisia, January 1943. This was the beginning of the Tiger's reputation in the West, and it began exactly the way legends often begin, with confusion, shock, and men discovering that what they had been sent forward in was no longer enough. One of the clearest testimonies came from Lieutenant Peter Gudgin of the 48th Royal Tank Regiment. He described the moment with terrible simplicity. My fellow troop leader's tank erupted in an enormous explosion. Before I had chance to locate the source, my tank was hit by a shot that passed through the front plate, through the fighting compartment, and into the engine, setting it ablaze. That is how many first encounters with Tigers were experienced. Not as a duel, not as a contest, as sudden violence. One moment advancing, the next a tank gone, then another. Before Allied crews had even fixed the enemy's position. The Tiger I carried frontal armor around 102 millimeters thick. For early war Allied tank guns, that front was close to immune in ordinary combat conditions. British and American 75 millimeter tank guns could not reliably penetrate the front at practical range. Allied Shermans had to get within a few hundred yards just to have a chance against the side. And the Tiger's gun could do what theirs could not. The Tiger's 88 millimeter gun could destroy a Sherman at over 2,100 meters. That meant a Tiger could kill before many Allied crews were even in position to hurt it back. In Tunisia, one early encounter became almost symbolic of the problem. A 75 millimeter artillery piece fired 8 rounds at the side of a Tiger from just 45 meters away, and the rounds bounced off. At that distance, men expected effect. Instead, they saw deflection. Not theory, not a firing table, steel saying no. That was the first sight. Not just of a German heavy tank, of a new battlefield truth. The Allied tanker who first saw a Tiger did not need a technical briefing. He learned from the first clang, from the first flash, from the first burning tank. And fear, once born under armor, spreads very fast. The Tiger was real. Tiger fright was real too, but the two were not the same thing. Very quickly, Allied crews began reporting Tigers everywhere. Panzer IVs became Tigers, Panthers became Tigers, sometimes even half-tracks and assault guns became Tigers in the confusion of combat memory. For American troops, every German tank became a Tiger. That was not cowardice, it was what fear does when a machine acquires symbolic force. The Tiger had all the ingredients needed for battlefield myth: a devastating gun, heavy armor, a terrifying silhouette, and most of all, scarcity. Only 1,347 Tiger Is were built in the entire war. That is one of the most important numbers in this story, because legends are supposed to feel large, but the Tiger force was small, very small. By contrast, Sherman production ran above 49,000, so the numbers never matched the fear. 1,347 Tigers, more than 49,000 Shermans. The imbalance was not even close. And yet, in memory, in letters, in frontline talk, the Tiger seemed to be everywhere. Because crews did not remember inventories, they remembered what could kill them first. For American tankers especially, true Tiger encounters were much rarer than later popular memory suggests. U.S. forces met real Tigers only infrequently, while reports of Tigers multiplied far beyond the actual number available in theater. And once that fear entered the bloodstream of an army, it began changing perception itself. A crew sees a long barrel through hedgerow gaps. Tiger. A knocked-out Sherman burns beside a road. Tiger. A German tank survives the first hit. Tiger. The name became an explanation. That matters because it made the Tiger stronger than steel alone could make it. A machine with only 1,347 examples could never physically dominate every battlefield where Allied men thought it saw it. But in the imagination of crews under fire, it could. That was the legend. And like many legends, it contained truth at the center and exaggeration everywhere around it. None of this means the Tiger was ordinary. It was not. In the right position, with the first shot, the Tiger could be devastating. Concealed, hauled down, waiting. That was the battlefield situation Allied tankers feared most. But there was another truth. If that first shot missed, the fight changed. Lieutenant Colonel Albin F. Ierzik, an American tanker, put it plainly in 1946. Instances occurred where a Tiger lay hidden, waited in ambush, fired the first shot, and missed. The mistake was fatal. American tanks maneuvered around it and with their rapid fire destroyed the German tank. That sentence cuts through a lot of myth. The Tiger was powerful, but it was not agile in the way the legend suggested. Its turret traverse was slower than that of the Sherman. American crews could shift position faster, lay on to new targets faster, and fire faster. Where the Tiger might fire once, American tanks could answer with 3 or 4 rounds. The Tiger wanted a duel, a frontal engagement, at range, with time to aim, with the first shot. The Sherman did not need that kind of fight. It needed movement, numbers, coordination, rate of fire. Catch it from the side, force it to turn, break its rhythm, use multiple tanks, use artillery, use movement, make the Tiger react. Because a Tiger reacting was less dangerous than a Tiger waiting. The Tiger really could kill at astonishing range. It really could shrug off hits from the front, but it was not a battlefield god. It could miss, it could be outmaneuvered, it could be overwhelmed. And once Allied tankers discovered that, the story changed. Not at all once, but steadily. Then came the moment that stripped away rumor. Tiger 131. Captured in Tunisia in April 1943, the only complete Tiger I still surviving today. The crew abandoned it after hits that jammed the turret area and stopped it fighting effectively. A Churchill round lodged in the turret ring, and the crew left. This was not the destruction of a superweapon. It was a very human machine being brought to a halt by a vulnerability in exactly the wrong place. Now British engineers could inspect the real thing, measure it, test it, climb inside, stop imagining. British assessments were brutally plain. In mud, Tiger mobility was described as very poor. German guidance on the subject was telling in its own way: avoid mud. That was not a solution, it was an admission. A tank doesn't have to be penetrated to fail, it only has to stop. The gun was formidable, the armor was formidable, but the machine was not effortless. It was heavy, complicated, demanding. The Tiger could dominate a firing line. That did not mean it could dominate war. Over time, Allied tankers and Allied logistics learned the same lesson from different directions. The Tiger's real enemy was often not a Sherman, it was the Tiger itself. Mechanical failure consumed many of them: final drive problems, suspension strain, track issues, engine stress. Many Tigers were lost not in direct tank combat, but to breakdown, immobilization, abandonment,